Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Scoop. I'm Jarret Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Joe, how you doing today, man?
Not too bad, Jarret. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. This isn't going to be the most positive edition, I'm afraid, of the Hoop Scoop. Talking about the Texas Tech Red Raiders, who have now dropped 3 in a row since the last time we did one of these scoops. They've lost 2 more. They're 15-3 overall, 4-3 in the Big 12. And Joe, we've been very positive about Texas Tech, and for good reason, because they've had so much success early on. But you have kind of warned, both in some of your Yeager shots and then in some of these videos, that there have been some chinks in the armor, for lack of a better term. And it seems like those are kind of coming to the forefront, obviously, now that they've lost a couple. What's your overall take on what's going on right now with the Red Raiders?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're just basically, you're still playing really good defense for the most part. You had one game against Baylor where you gave up 70-plus points. First time that's happened this year, but I mean that's an aberration. They kind of got back on track defensively against Kansas State, but still lost the game. So I mean, what we've been saying all along is that the defense is the constant with this team, and that the offense is the variable. And to the extent that is true, the team is really going to win or lose based upon what sort of offensive productivity you're getting. And clearly, you're not getting it right now. I mean, the last game out, 45 points. I don't know what the shooting percentage was. It was like 21% from 3, 30-something from the field or something. Yeah, it was really, really bad. Tech has not hit 70 points on offense the entire Big 12 schedule so far. That's 7 games. They haven't even hit 70 points. Last year's team, on the other hand, played 20 Big 12 games, right, including the tournament, and failed to make 70 points only 6 times. You already surpassed that in the first 7 games.
There you go.
Okay, so you're just not getting the point productivity. Actually, I think you're probably a little bit better defensively than you were last year. That's why you got 4 wins instead of being 0-7 in conference right now. That defense is doing it for you. So they've got to figure out some things on offense, and I'm confident that they will. It's never going to be a juggernaut with this particular team, but they can get to be good enough on offense where they're going to start winning more than they lose on down the stretch, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like the Iowa State loss was kind of an aberration. Obviously it's a loss, so it should be lumped in with this 3-game losing streak. But I feel like offensively overall, they played kind of their game that they have for most of the season. They look so like the same Red Raiders. And honestly, it came down to 6 for 15 from the free throw line. Yeah. And then you couldn't get a stop there late. It was a tie game. They get a big hoop, and you kind of just ran away from there. And you missed a couple layups. But mostly, to me, that game was an aberration. Just you blew it at the free throw line. You just don't shoot 6 for 15. You make 3 or 4 of those, and the game would have been completely different. So that's kind of an aberration. Baylor, look. You looked bad offensively. Baylor's a pretty good defensive team who could shoot threes. They shot lights out. You didn't. That's basketball. You know what I mean? You just ran into a buzzsaw. And then Kansas State, speaking of buzzsaw, that was their 5th straight win. 45 points. I mean, great defense from the Wildcats. I tip my cap to them. I don't want to take anything away from them. But you missed a lot of open shots, too. And to me, it's Culver is getting worn down, and everybody's obviously focusing on him for good reason, and it's not working. The ISOs for him just aren't working, at least as much as they're doing, because even when he's creating shots for guys, they're not making them. So who's a second option, Joe, that needs to step up? Who do you see as being the guy that could really help turn this thing around?
Well, I mean, right now your second best option is Morrow. It's David A. Moretti. Yeah. I mean, he's during this slump. He's been a pretty consistent guy that's going to get you 10, 11 points, something like that on average. Shoots a pretty good percentage. Whenever I see him shoot the ball, I'm very confident that it's going to go in, and it does a lot of times. But I mean, he's not going to be a guy that's going to get you close to 20 points on a regular basis. He's not a high-octane offensive performer right now. He might ideally be sort of a third option.
That's what I think he's a great, legitimate third scoring option for the Red Raiders.
Right.
But can I guess my question for you, the obvious question is, can Matt Mooney, do you think he consistently be the number 2 guy or not? What do you think?
And that's exactly where I was getting to, because Mooney is, I mean, I don't think Beard has ever come out and said it, and he probably wouldn't come out and say it.
Right.
But that's why he was brought here.
Yes.
Mooney was just a stone scorer up at South Dakota, and he was brought in to offset a lot of what you lost with Keenan Evans, and to be that excellent complementary scorer to Culver. Yep. And he's had his moments this year. He has. He's had times where he's like, okay, this is going to work out really good. He's going to be exactly as advertised. But man, these last 3 games, you talk about Swan Dive City. He's shooting 25% from the floor.
Wow, I didn't think it was that good, honestly. I thought it was. I'm not trying to be funny. I just don't remember him. I remember him making 1 shot against Kansas State, but missing a lot of really good shots. I'm surprised he's shooting that well over these last 3 games.
Yeah, well, no matter how you slice it, 25% ain't going to get it. No. You know, that's not what he was brought here to do. Right. So he's got to get that. He's got to get right one way or another. And Texas Tech coaching staff and Beard and those guys, they got to figure out ways to make sure that he's as comfortable as he can be out there, that he's in spots where he's most likely to score. And then another issue with Mooney right now, and I don't want to belabor it on the guy or anything, but his turnovers. I mean, you know, one of the main, I would say the 2 things that Beard emphasizes most are defense and not turning the ball over on offense. Okay, well, Mooney is a primary ball handler. He is a guard, and he's got only 2 more assists and turnovers on the entire year. Yikes. That's. I mean, you need a guy with a 2-to-1. 3-to-1 would be fantastic. 2-to-1 is acceptable. And you know, right now, nobody on Texas Tech's roster has a 2-to-1 assist ratio. Morrow is closest. He's a little bit short of that. But, so, I mean, you got that going on with Mooney as well, turning the ball over. But he has the potential to produce for you points, which you desperately need. So you've got to, I mean, you're kind of caught in a dilemma there. You know, I mean, you're worried about the turnovers, but you're like, well, we need this guy out there to score.
Yeah.
So they've got to work something out there, and that's just really, I think, the key moving forward is you need Mooney to snap out of it, get comfortable, whatever needs to be done for him to become that secondary scorer.
Well, yeah, and like you said, I love that you said this, because he's shown he can do it. He showed at South Dakota State he could do it, but then since he's been at Tech, he's had some big games. Look, you probably don't beat Texas and Austin if he didn't put up the monster 22-point game that he did. And really, I thought that was going to be key, because they were keying so hard on Culver, and Mooney really made him pay. So I thought that was going to be something that was going to keep happening. And honestly, I feel like he's had some really good shots. Yes. I hope Mooney stays aggressive. I hope he looks for a shot more than to be a facilitator, because that's really what he is. I mean, I know, yes, assists will come off that, but if he's not going to be making some of these good open looks, then he's not going to be drawing a lot of the defense, and he's not going to be able to get people shots. So I think he needs to score first and then work from there. After that, I think he can set other people up. Right. Another thing I want to ask you about Kayvon Moore, we get asked this constantly on the board, so I'm going to ask you for the scoop. You know, he played 2 minutes against Iowa State. He hasn't played since. Beard said basically he's going to do whoever he thinks is going to help them to win. But from you, Joe, why do you think Moore hasn't seen the floor since Iowa State?
Well, I mean, unless there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, I mean, I think that's probably the truth. I mean, I think it is what Beard says it is. However, I mean, if that's the case, and let's suppose that remains the case. Yeah. You know, for the remainder of the season, Beard does not see him as a guy who can be in the rotation and help the team. Then what are you left with? You're talking about 2 minutes against Iowa State and 1 year of eligibility gone. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's not so good. That's not what they had planned in mind. So you use him or you lose him for this year is basically what it comes down to. And God knows I'm no Chris Beard, but I mean, to me, I mean, we know the guy has talent, right? Yes. The way I look at it, you throw him out there, throw him into the water, let him learn to swim a little bit. Yeah. And you if you have to live, you have to take some lumps, fine. But I mean, you got to let this guy to develop a little bit. That's going to help you out next year too. You know, yes. I mean, you got to be looking ahead a little bit as well. So, I mean, I see there are some negatives obviously, with playing him, but I think the positives and the potential positives probably outweigh the negatives a little bit. So I really want to see him get on the court.
Absolutely. All right, Arkansas coming up 5 o'clock Saturday here at the USA. You know, everybody's kind of saying, oh, Tech better win that game, but, you know, Razorbacks are no slouch necessarily. I mean, it's an SEC Power 5 team coming in here. I believe 2016 they lit you up there. So, you know, this is a good break, I think, to get away from Big 12 competition, but how do you see this playing out, and what do the Red Raiders need to do to get the W, Joe?
Yeah, it's Arkansas is a team that has some ability. I mean, you know, yeah, they do have. There's a Power 5 team with some highly recruited players on it. They've got a guy that everybody probably knows a little bit about, Daniel Gafford, a big man, 6'10", 6'11", surefire first-round draft pick. I believe he's going for like 16-9 or 16-8 right now. So you're going to have your hands full with him inside, and then the rest of that team, that's a young team. You know, you don't have a lot in the way of I don't think there may be even a senior on the roster, maybe 4 juniors, but only a couple of those guys are playing big minutes. So you're talking about basically outside of Gafford, a bunch of freshmen and sophomores who are in there as well. They're very athletic, but again, they haven't really got it together. They were on a 4-game losing streak until last night, and they beat a very average Missouri team by 12 in Arkansas. So, I mean, Tech should win this game. I don't think that Arkansas is a team that would really scratch too much in the Big 12 this year. They're not going to be in the upper half of the Southeast Conference. So you should take care of this one. But, I mean, you know, we need to see just a lot of the stuff that we were talking about. I mean, moving forward, you need to see Mooney get it together. You need to see this offense show a pulse. And however they go about doing that. I mean, Arkansas has not been great on defense this year, although they were against Missouri in this last game out. But, you know, they're kind of a high pressure. Mike Anderson has always done that. He'll pressure you all over the floor.
Does that scare you a little bit?
Yeah,
with Tech's turnover problems.
Yeah, so, you know, there you go. I mean, there's one issue that you got to worry about right there. You got to take care of the ball, and you can be sure that that's a point of huge emphasis in preparation for this game. So, and I expect Tech to come out and handle the ball pretty well, but they need to break out a little bit offensively. My prediction, you didn't ask for it, but I'll go ahead and give it 73-63 Tech.
Double-digit win sure would help, you know, get momentum back going the right way. But hey, Joe, man, I really appreciate your input as always. Thank you. Thank you all for watching, and until next time.